years ago, the D.C. Convention Center was the inauguration hotspot. Dancing, glitz, glam. Today, it's a COVID field hospital. A sign of the times and a look at just how strange and scaled down this year's festivities will be. With no need for massive travel or lavish balls, the ever-growing inauguration price tag should go down a bit, right? Maybe, maybe not. The Biden Inaugural Committee is asking donors to help meet, quote, ambitious fundraising goals. According to the donation website, the committee will accept corporate donations up to $1 million, but refuse money from lobbyists and the oil industry.
I think you're going to see something that's closer to what the convention was like than the typical inauguration.
This summer's Democratic National Convention cost about $57 million for a week's worth of mostly virtual festivities. On Inauguration Day, the swearing-in ceremony and much of the security is paid for by taxpayers, and the parade will be mostly virtual this year. We asked the Inaugural Committee why it needed hefty sums for this year's downsized festivities and for their estimated costs. They received our request for comment but didn't reply to our questions. It's a growing concern for government watchdogs who've watched inaugurations grow over the years.
I, Lyndon Baines Johnson, do solemnly swear.
Morphing into corporate-funded big-money galas.
It's basically throwing money at the feet of the president so they can endear themselves to the president. The biggest problem is where that money comes from and what they want in return.
Craig Holman of Public Citizen and 50 other progressive groups sent a letter to Biden's inaugural committee, encouraging them to forego corporate cash, as President Obama did in 2009.
So help you God, so help me God.
The move would be a juxtaposition from President Trump, who raised a record-breaking $107 million, which his team used for things like $10,000 in makeup for AIDS, $1 million on events at the Trump Hotel, and $57 million for event planning by companies owned by family friends. Spending from the Trump Inaugural Committee has prompted federal investigations and calls for more regulation, since there are very few rules limiting who can give money, or even if the money has to be spent on the inauguration at all.
Biden had the opportunity to return the whole inauguration process back to the noble era of Thomas Jefferson. And instead, he chose not to do that. I suspect most of the money will end up being, given back to charity, because he can't spend that kind of money.
Legislation that would have brought transparency to inauguration spending died in the Senate. However, the Biden team is doing something different this year, releasing the names of its major donors ahead of the inauguration, something that isn't usually required until after the event. Amber Strong, Newsy, Washington.